Hi everyone! Today I will be showing you a few fundamentals in Photoshop. I will be introducing Photoshop's interface, how to crop and straighten files, and how to begin editing the contrast. Once you open Photoshop, you will see a myriad of options available. There is the toolbar down along the left. This contains basic commands ranging from the select tool to the brush tool to the eraser. Note that if you hover over a tool, you can see a short description as well as the shortcut. If you click and hold a tool, additional options become available. Along the top is the drop-down menu, and below that, along here, is the options menu that corresponds to the current command that you're executing. Over on the right, you see your panels. This has, among other things, the Layers panel that will be the key to a robust and organized file later when more complex assignments are given. Here you can also find your History panel in case it becomes necessary to undo several steps at a time. Now I've opened up a test file to play with just by going to File, Open, and some important navigation tools that you should know are Pan and Zoom. As with most things in Photoshop, there are several ways to do this. There is the magnifying glass in the toolbar down here that allows you to zoom in and out by moving your mouse up and down while holding the right mouse button. If you double click the magnifying glass, it zooms to actual pixels, which gives you a good understanding of the size and resolution of the file that you're working with. If you double click the hand in the toolbar, it fits to screen. All of these commands can also be found up under the pull down of View, and also if you just simply right click under certain commands. The corresponding shortcuts on the keyboard are Command plus and minus or Control if you're on the Windows side. And you can use those to just quickly zip in and out. Alright, I'm going to use the magnetic lasso to demonstrate that while you're in the midst of a command, to get out of it, you hit Escape. And also, if you're in the middle of a command and you want to complete the command, you hit Enter. If you are zoomed in and you need to pan while in the midst of a command, hold down spacebar and you can pan. And the zoom is also always available even while you're doing a command if you use the shortcuts. When you go into crop an image, you can manually adjust the corners or edges, like so. Or you can use the Options tool to constrain the crop box to a ratio. Another important aspect is this box up here that says Delete Cropped Pixels. If you unclick this box, the crop is created as a layer and the background is still accessible to be moved around rather than just chopping off the excess pixels. In this condition, you need to weigh the importance of still having access to the pixels against the benefit of a smaller file size. You can also change the grid overlay in the cropped section by going up to the options bar where you see this view, and you can choose whether it always shows the overlay, never shows it, or shows it only when you're making the adjustment. You can also choose what you would like that overlay to look like. There is also a perspective crop tool available to you. Hold the crop tool and choose perspective crop tool. Then draw a box over the area that you would like to use as your perspective. From there you can adjust the corners to where you want the actual perspective. Don't worry about if you have a lot of excess that you're cutting off, because from there you can just drag the edges to include the picture within the same perspective that you're hoping to get. Once you feel like you've got a good frame, hit Enter, and the image flattens out for you. Another useful tool is the ruler to straighten a picture. Simply click and hold the eyedropper button until you get down to the ruler. From there, simply click and drag from one point to another along the line that you want to be horizontal. Once you have your line set, go up to your options bar and hit Straighten Layer. It will reorient your file with the line you've chosen as horizontal. Be aware that Photoshop does not automatically crop the image for you and that you have some blank canvas at the edges to trim down, and you can do that using crop. Once you've got your photo or sketch oriented and properly trimmed down, you can begin using some of the adjustments to edit your photo. For the sake of seeing contrast, I'm going to quickly just turn this photo to black and white. Now, the levels adjustment can be found at the second one in, and this levels panel will pop out for you to work with. What you're looking at is a histogram, essentially a bar graph of the pixels from darkest to lightest, with midtones in the center. Using the triangular marks at the bottom, over here, you want to determine which pixels should be black and which should be white. In order to create a rich image, you want a full value range. So you want pixels falling on either side of the black and the white. So in order to make that happen on my photo, I need to drag both the ends in a little bit. The amount is up to your discretion, and I encourage you to play with all these tools, but there should be, as a rule of thumb, some histogram values outside of the black to white range in order to make your file more dynamic. So once you're satisfied with the overall appearance, now it's time to save. Now when you go into Save As, there are several options to understand the differences between. So the most important ones to understand are a PSD, JPEG, TIFF, and a PNG. A PSD is the default, and it is the Photoshop file itself. You should first save as a PSD on your personal machine or on your own classes folder so that you can come back to rework the file later. In terms of turning material in, you will use a JPEG or a PNG. A JPEG has great compression, which means a smaller file size, but it's good to note that the more you open and resave and recompress the file as a JPEG, the more you degrade the quality. A PNG is great because it retains the transparency and works well in Microsoft programs, but still has smaller file sizes than a TIFF, which is the best quality and used primarily for publications due to its large file sizes. So, to sum up, save as a PSD for your personal use, but submit as a JPEG or a PNG. And that's all for today.